Hi everybody, this is Dan Stolebarger and welcome to this week's Middle East update. It's the week of August 3rd. I want to encourage you to go to our website at holygroundexplorations.com in order to access the PDF PowerPoint that accompanies this YouTube. Let's jump right in. What are we going to cover this week? We're going to talk about the terrorist slaying that took place in Adam. David Friedman, our Secretary of State, set Shiva, ISIS on the border of Golan, Hezbollah getting rooted into the Syrian Golan area. Will Jerusalem ever be divided? And then we'll talk a little bit about Nikki Haley, the Druze status of what's going on in this nation state that was a bill that was passed by the Knesset. And then there's a little thing that I think you'll enjoy at the very end that's called If Only Israel. So let's start off with the terrorist attack in Adam. Bottom line is that once again we're dealing with the concept of what we're going to call pay for slay. On Thursday, 17-year-old terrorist Muhammad Tariq Dar Yusuf murdered a 31-year-old Israeli father of two. And what's the bottom line here? Does the Palestinian Authority, do they come out and do they, in a sense, speak out against that? Do they condemn this practice? No. They, in a sense, have rewarded him as a shaheed, which that means that his family will now receive a one-time gift of 6,000 shekels. That's about $1,600, and then they get a monthly allowance for life of $383 every single month. So instead of condemning this activity, they're paying for it once again. David Friedman, our Secretary of State, went to the home in Adam of the grieving widow and set Shiva. You can read that article. What's going on in the Golan now? Just yesterday, the IDF said that it conducted an airstrike and it killed 7 Islamic State fighters who had crossed the 74 ceasefire line into Israel. They didn't quite scale the fence. The IDF took them out before they could do that. They found suicide belts. They found rifles. Again, this is ISIS. And once Assad's army has rooted out ISIS, we've always said the same thing. Whether it's Shiite, whether it's Sunni, whether it's Iran, whether it's Assad, Syria, whether it's Hezbollah, whether it's Gaza, there's one common enemy for all of these Islamic groups, and that, of course, is Israel. You can read the article about Hezbollah, and then there's a question about dividing Jerusalem, this so-called Donald Trump Middle East peace plan or whatever. Well, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee has made it clear, speaking for Trump, he said, quote, he's absolutely committed to the relationship and the alliance to Israel. There's no unpredictability in that support. Then he goes on, and this is interesting, because there's a lot of pundits that are arguing back and forth about this subject. But Huckabee said, quote, he's already shown that he has respect of Israel's right to a sovereign, secure space, adding that in the plan, quote, I can pretty much guarantee you that Jerusalem will not be divided. Very interesting. We'll have to wait and see what transpires. Then there's an article about Nikki Haley. Will she run for president in 2020? And then Hezbollah, as I mentioned before, Israel's ramping up attacks against the Iranian supply lines in Syria to block the flow of weapons to the Hezbollah. Now that the Syrian war is essentially over, the question is, is Nasrallah's master plan, in a sense, to plant Hezbollah along that corridor, once again from Lebanon into the Golan, and then, of course, secure rockets, etc. It seems like that's what the plan is. And then, as I mentioned, you can check out the status of the Druze and that nation state. And I'll end with this. It's called If Only Israel. This is a new syndrome, I guess you would say. And it goes like this: if only Israel reversed its settlements policy, if only Israel understood that Gaza's tunnel diggers and kite flyers are just exercising their so-called peaceful protest, the right for that, if only the IDF would restrain itself, if only Israel stopped assuming the worst about Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, if only Israel went the extra mile with President Mahmoud Abbas, if only Israel got beyond its Holocaust trauma, and if only Israel, you go ahead and just fill in the blanks, because as the world looks at it, it's all Israel's fault. And if only Israel, give me a break. So that's this week's Middle East update. And I want to encourage you to continue to be praying for the peace of Jerusalem. And then circle the dates, February 28th through March 9th. It's our next tour to Israel. We call it Revealing Israel. And again, get information on that from our website, holygroundexplorations.com. And so let me wish you a Shabbat Shalom, and may God richly bless you. Thank you.